the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content on info@millenniumnews24.com. Download the Millennium News 24 app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Stay tuned with Millennium TV and Millennium News 24 for the latest updates.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Jineea Butler. We're here on the group today, here on Millennium News 24, and we have a show for you. How have you been? Have you missed me? I missed you, and we've got so much to talk about today in this hour because so much has happened in the last week, right? Today, I'm making the case that America's power centers know how to activate Black outrage selectively by pushing trauma triggers when it benefits them. What do you think about that? Have you ever thought about that? Because this last week was one of those times. I'm not dismissing the pain. I'm asking who gets to aim it, when and what week it is. If PTSS, and this is what we're going to talk about, post-traumatic slave syndrome, have you heard this? Is it real? If it is real, then can it be exploited like any other lever? Okay, so let's talk about the racial history in America. Means that remarks about Black people, even if not animal references, can resonate deeply because of the long-term racial past that we've had. There's a theory called post-traumatic slave syndrome that says you can put 400 years of trauma into people, never repair it, and expect the effects to magically disappear. The debate isn't about whether trauma exists. It's whether America is willing to acknowledge it. And that's what we're going to talk about here on Millennium News today. Are you ready to acknowledge it? The theory says that extreme trauma doesn't always stop with people who directly experienced it. Instead, trauma can be psychologically transmitted through parenting, stress, responses, fear, conditioning, right? Socially reinforced through laws, segregation, violence, discrimination, biology, I'm saying the word crazy, but influence through stress hormones, and it's still being studied. So in this framework, slavery is not treated as a single historical event, but as a starting point of continuous trauma that includes slavery, Reconstruction violence, Jim Crow lynching, redlining, mass incarceration, modern police violence. So we are definitely in this space. One of the most well-known formulations of this is called post-traumatic slave syndrome, as I've been saying. Where it comes from, it was coined and developed by Dr. DeGroy, a social worker and researcher. PTSS is not an official DSM, the DSM-4 and the diagnosis manual, right? Like PTSD. That's what you probably have heard about PTSD. And that's important, but it's a theoretical framework. So what we argue is that PTSS suggests centuries of slavery followed by systematic oppression combined with a period of healing, repair, or justice produce adaptive behaviors that help people survive, but may cause harm in modern contexts. Examples often discussed include hypervigilance, mistrust of institutions, internalized racism, survival-based coping strategies, high stress responses to authority. Okay, does anybody know anything like this? The key point is these behaviors are framed as survival responses, not moral or cultural defects. So we have learned to survive as a people, okay? And so that's the part that I'm trying to get, is that we have learned to survive as a people, but in that same framework, right? In that framework of surviving as a people and going through everything that we've gone through, okay? What does that actually mean? Okay, what does that mean to us? And what are you talking about, Jineea? What are we on the group? That's why we're on the group today, and that's why we're talking about this. And I'm sure you can get where I'm about to go. So, intergenerational trauma is real. Studied in Holocaust survivors and descendants, indigenous populations, war affected communities. Chronic exposure to stress and violence does alter stress regulations. Trauma can shape family systems, parenting styles, and community norms. What's debated? Whether PTSD should be formalized as a diagnosis. How much is biological versus social conditioning? And I'm going somewhere with this, people. Stay with me. The risk of pathologizing Black identity instead of systems. Many scholars stress the trauma is produced by systems, not Blackness itself. So they're saying that, hey, this might be going on, and it might be going on with Black people because Black people have been put into this instance. And I argue that not only Black people have been put into this instance, that other people have been put in that same instance as well. So the framework gained traction because many people recognize patterns like, why does danger feel present even when it's not? You know how people got to carry the gun around, in the hood, they got to carry the gun. Why is distrust rational and not irrational? So, trust no one is a theory that we go through in the hood. Why does history still feel alive? For many, PTSS offered language to describe a lived experience that wasn't acknowledged elsewhere. Okay, so we have to definitely look at this whole scenario and where we're going. So now, where am I going? Where am I falling into, people? The tragedy changed the national mood overnight. Media turned the temperature up and the country followed. Okay, so what are we talking about? So we are talking about the simple point that Donald Trump last week, he shared a meme, or a meme was shared on his social media that had people, Black people mostly, but then other people jumping on it too, jumping in and saying what, who, what, when, where, and why. So it became a tragedy. So some changes were meaningful and some were performative, but the lever worked. Okay, keep it grounded. You're talking about real incentives here. Okay, so let's talk about what we're experiencing. Okay, so now if we go back, right, I want to go back for us just a little bit. I want to go back to when George Floyd was killed. Does anybody remember when George Floyd was killed? That's our case study number one. And I'm saying this because I'm going back over this time because the George Floyd changed everything, right? So when we saw a cop putting their legs on George Floyd's neck, okay, for 9 minutes, and he's saying, I can't breathe, and all of this stuff, we had a problem with that, right? So then, case study two, Biden, remember Charlemagne's line? Reminder, when Biden went on, I believe it was Charlemagne's show because he was by himself. It wasn't the Breakfast Club. But remember, Biden said, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't Black. Now that sent me through the roof. Okay, so that touched my inside. That wasn't just a gaffe. It touched our identity. Okay, let's not forget what Biden actually said in the early 1990s that was related to the crime bill. And remember, the crime bill put more Black people in jail. People are just coming home from the 1993 crime bill. So in 1993, Biden talked on the Senate floor about youth who lack supervision and structure, and who might become predators if society didn't provide opportunities. Okay? But he didn't single out any racial group. But how did we know who he was talking to? This is that PTSS. There are other controversial remarks that Biden said in the past, all the way back to 1977. He had a comment about his children growing up in a racial jungle. That has been criticized for sensitive language, but that's not the same as calling Black people animals or super predators. The 90s, now let's talk about Hillary Clinton. The 90s crime era created incentives, tough on crime, politics across both parties. Clinton area policies shaped communities for decades. At a speech in 1996, Clinton referred to gangs of violent youth as kids that are called super predators, saying they lack conscience or empathy. Now, gangs in the US, okay, across the board. Now, we used to know about the gangs out on the West Coast. So this was back in 96. In 2026, right? Which is now 30 years later, we have gangs all over the place. So does she still feel this way or no? That language later became the center of criticism because the term was part of criminology theory popular in the 1990s that African American youth would disproportionately engage in violent crime. So is that true? So now we've got to look at, is this true? A theory since widely discredited and tied to policies that helped fuel mass incarceration. Clinton's reference was used politically against her in later campaigns as she acknowledged regret over the phrase. Now, so if she meant it, should she have to apologize? Right? So what part do we play in this too? Because now we're talking, I'm going deep. So if in 77 Joe Biden opposed federally mandated busing as a tool, and shout out to Ruby Bridges, she just got an award, or she just got honored for being one of the the little girl that was on the steps of segregation. Biden talked about, listen, he didn't want it. During that debate, he made the following statement. He said that he did not want his children going up in a racial jungle. Now, that was when he was talking about desegregating the schools. So now most people, now the schools are desegregated, or are they? Because even though that you could go, there's kids, Black kids that can go to a white school, white kids can go to a Black school. Even there, after the Brown versus Education, many districts resisted integration back then. So they started busing. But do they bus now? Because schools are largely still classed out, and they're classed out. And because of those classes, okay, because of those things, ladies and gentlemen, we're still segregated, right? But under the auspice that we're desegregated. So how does that work? So Biden supported desegregation in principle, but he opposed busing for his kids as a method, arguing it would increase racial tension, undermine neighborhood schools, and create social instability. Why are you saying all this, Jineea? Why are you saying this? Are you making the case? I'm making a case, okay? So my argument is that they can trigger us with words, then not deliver safety. Do you understand what I'm saying? They could trigger us, okay? So now, when we look at everything that we're talking about, I'm going to come back after a short break, and we're going to talk about whether we've been triggered, okay? Because now the Lion King is in token. Last week, Trump, he did the craziness during Black History Month, and we've been triggered again. So was it Trump or was it something else? So we're going to talk about this on our way back here on Millennium News 24. I'm your host, Jineea Butler, and we are on the group, and we are talking about it today. We will be right back.
Hello viewers, you are watching Millennium News 24. America and global villages seen to America independence built by immigrants, manufacturers, roads, highways, educations, healthcare, IT, scientists, space, business development to all thousands of multimedia and all major social media platforms and news network in America. Millennium News 24, one of truthfully news networks in America and global news organizations. Please watch, follow and subscribe. We are in iOS and Android devices, Roku, Amazon, Apple devices, all smart TV, globally Horizon satellite, social media Millennium News 24, Millennium TV 24. Website www.millenniumnews24.com and www.millenniumtv24.com. Thank you.
And we are back. Here is your host, Jineea Butler. We are back here on Millennium News 24, and we are talking about what is up with Trump and his things. So this week, a video depicting the Obamas as primates sparked outrage and got pulled, okay? So now, why does the culture get activated hard on certain symbols and then get ignored on policy? If midterms are November 3rd, 2026, now let's make sure that we're clear about this. If midterms are November 3rd, 2026, outrage is currency. People will spend it right now. And so anything that they're doing, they're going to say in October, oh, don't remember what happened 2026. Black History Month, and remember how he treated you so we can get your vote in November. Now, that is my point. That is my point about PTSD. And yes, Republicans can play the outrage game too. I'm not picking teams here. I'm exposing the facts. Now, you wanted balance. Here is a clean structure for you. Trump got about 13 to 15% of the Black voters in 2024. Depending on the data set. That's meaningful and it's fragile, okay? And I was a part of that. I wanted to take a Black Republican presidential candidate and move him from over 5%, and we got up to 15%. So we cracked those numbers in half. And congratulations to all of those who stepped up to say that we need allies on both sides of the field. We do, okay? So as of early 26, there are 24 Democratic governors and 26 Republican governors following the 2025 elections, which included wins in New Jersey and Virginia. Democrats maintain a total of 24 governorships leading up to the 2026 cycle, okay? But before we talk about something that quietly affects every American, the Department of Homeland Security. We're going to talk about all of that, but let's get with the comfortable truth. When Washington can't govern, chaos becomes a cover. While the public is arguing over culture, reacting to viral outrage, fighting each other emotionally, we start losing the battle. The machinery of government stalls, weakens, and we lose legitimacy. And history shows us just where that is. And so we've got to look at how this plays in our urban reset, because we've got to reset. Because if any time that they share a meme, okay, and then when they share a meme and the meme is Trump, and Trump did this, and Trump did that, and Trump shared this, and Trump shared that, and then we get an outrage. We start having that PTSS, post-traumatic slave syndrome. And if we're thinking about resetting ourselves, okay, if we're thinking about in 2026, resetting ourselves. Now, I'm not giving Trump, I'm not giving anybody a pass for that video because it was horrible. And like they're saying, there are no monkeys or gorillas in The Lion King. It's The Lion King. You had in the jungle, the mighty jungle, woo, 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 right? You remember this, right? So now, what are we looking at? What are we saying when we're allowing this to go on, or when we're allowing this to happen with us? Again, we are not saying, I'm not saying for any way that Trump should be allowed to say what he said, or Trump should be allowed to say what he did. But what I am saying is that we shouldn't be triggered every time they say something. When they said the George Floyd piece, okay, we're outraged. We had a $500 billion deal on the table with Trump. They killed George Floyd. Oh, we're outraged. And so where does that outrage go, people? What do we do with that outrage? We just get mad and that's it. But what I'm saying is we need to get smart now. We need to get focused on what we want and what we need. Because if the Democratic Party can step up anytime that they want and make us excited and get us off our square, if they can do that, then we lose every time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand where I'm going with this? Put it in the comments if you understand. Because before George Floyd, America was tense, Black voters were skeptical, and Trump had limited traction. After George Floyd, the country experienced a racial reckoning. Black political engagement surged, and Trump messaging hardened the opposition rather than softening it. So the outcome, Trump didn't expand the Black vote that year, okay? And the post-Floyd climate helped turn disengagement against him. And I'm not saying that we have to support Trump and all of that. I think this is the new American perspective. And what I need you to do is I need you to focus on what we need in our communities. Our communities need a reset. And I'm tired of us getting used like a yo-yo, back and forth, all yo-yo, and no action for us at the end of the day. Nothing for us at the end of the day. Just a vote. So what are we going to do at the midterm elections? Because if we swap to the Democrats, right? So right now, the Republicans have pure power over the House and the Senate. Okay? We know that to be true. We know that to be 100% true. They have pure. So now what happens in November? Because everything is getting revved up. We've got a potential government shutdown this week. Okay? Because DHS doesn't have funding. Department of Homeland Security, they don't have funding. So now, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, he stepped up. You know what we're doing. He stepped up, okay? And he said, listen, and I think it's valid. He says, listen, we need for them to take their mask off. We need identification. They need to have on regular stuff that police officer has on. Yes, I agree. Do you agree? Because I agree as well. I agree. So if he needs to do all of that, right? And we need to do all of this in the middle and everything. What are we doing? We are just sitting back watching this. But I'm trying to tell you, we've got more power than this. I am a Republican in part because we need allies. We need somebody that's going to fight our position on the Republican side, and not somebody that's going to say, oh, Jolly Joe Green, I'm a part of the Republican Party like everybody else. No disrespect to anybody. Okay? No disrespect. What I'm saying is that we need to focus on where we lie. Okay? We now started getting into politics. Okay? And I'm excited about that. I'm 10th power excited about us getting into politics. But now we can't just sit back. You don't just sign up when you decide to register to vote. First of all, have you registered to vote? Because a lot of people are talking a lot of stuff, and then they turn around and say, you know what? I don't even register to vote. I'm not even registered to vote. So where do you lie in this? Are you registered to vote? Now you can go online and you can just type in register to vote. You can register to vote online now. You can send in a mail-in copy, or you can go to your local election. But if you're not registered to vote and you're not a young person and you didn't do all the other stuff, just go online and register to vote. You can even register to vote when you get your driver's license. Okay, so there's so many ways that we can do this. Now they're saying that we need voter ID. Now, why are they saying that? They're saying that supposedly, now this is part of voter suppression. So we've got to keep everything in mind, however we're looking at it, because this is part of voter suppression. Now, but they make the case that you shouldn't have an ID to vote. Yes, sometimes when I go to vote, I feel like, are you not going to ask for my ID? So anybody can come here and scribble my name and vote in my name. So that's what they're saying that they're doing with these immigrants. Okay? That's what they're saying of why they want all these immigrants to be counted. Now, in a census, okay, in a census of everything that's going on, you can now, once more people are populated, so you keep pushing people into California. Let's say, for instance, just California, for instance, but any state, you keep pushing people in there. They then, no matter if they're citizens or not, they then have to look into this whole process and they have to say, we need more electorate votes. So when we do the census is done every 10 years. So when we do the census, this is how that piece is done. Okay, so we have to look at all this stuff because now you get more electorate votes with the more people. Now, just like the gerrymandering that happened in Texas, let's be clear. There was gerrymandering in Texas. They opened up more seats so more Congress people can vote Republican, so Republicans can get more seats, the same way the Democrats are using that for using the immigrants for that. So where do we play? So we live where they tell us to live because we're classed into certain situations. Do you understand? So we have to look at exactly how we're playing it, where we're moving, creating our own districts. It is an urban reset, people, and we have to do this now. Okay? We have to do this all around the world, everywhere where you're watching us. We have to focus and do this now. Okay? Because people are playing with our vote. They're playing with our feelings. So what I'm saying to you is as they're playing with our votes and as they're playing with our feelings, we've got to be smart, people. We have to be focused on what it is we are doing and how we are doing it. Are you with me? Because I need you to stand with me on this in the sense of I need your perspective. I need you to come on in. I need you to focus on what you want. We need economics. We need our education system to be a little bit more solid. But we got to understand when we're sending our kids to public schools, what we're going to get out of it. Now, most of us cannot afford to send our kids to private schools. This is a thing, okay? And I'm not telling you not. And so this is where the charter schools came in, and then they got ridiculous with the charter schools. Do you understand? So we have to really focus on what we're doing. But my point in this last 15 minutes was to say that this Obama meme that made us jump up, this post-traumatic stress, post-traumatic slave syndrome that we go through every time somebody says something else, we need to use this in the right way. We need to jump up for the right things. We need to jump up for our kids. We need to jump up to reset America. We need a restart, and it starts today. It starts with you. and you and you and you. It starts now. We're going to go to a break and we're going to come back here on Millennium News 24, and we're going to talk more about how we reset America by just ourselves. So we will be right back.
Welcome to Millennium News 24, your trusted source for accurate, unbiased news. We're here to bring you the stories that matter most from America and around the world with integrity and a commitment to truth. In today's world, where misinformation can easily spread, having access to reliable news is more important than ever. At Millennium News 24, we aim to cut through the noise by delivering clear, fact-based reporting. Whether you're following major events or looking for in-depth analysis, we are here to serve you with transparency and respect for all communities regardless of color, wealth, or religion. This beautiful America was built by the resilience of its people, immigrants, entrepreneurs, doctors, and everyday individuals working together to create something great. It's this spirit that inspires us to provide you with news that's inclusive, honest, and relevant. We believe that informed citizens are the foundation of a strong society, and we strive to give you the knowledge you need to make a difference. From breaking news to insightful features, we bring you comprehensive coverage on politics, economics, health, culture, and much more. We believe that everyone deserves access to the truth, and we are proud to be a part of a global network that connects people through information. Stay informed by following us on your devices, including iOS, Android, Roku, Amazon, Apple TV, and Smart TVs. And for global access, we're also available on Horizon Satellite. Visit us at www.millenniumtv24.com or www.millenniumnews24.com to stay updated at Millennium News 24. Our mission is to promote unity, understanding, and progress in a rapidly changing world. Join us as we work to inspire positive action through the power of truth. Thank you for watching. Follow us, subscribe, and stay informed.
And we are back here on Millennium News 24. I'm your host, Jineea Butler, and we're talking about today the harsh truth, post-traumatic slave syndrome. Do you know what it is? PTSS, post-traumatic slave syndrome. And I believe that the media and I believe that the powers that be use this against us anytime that they want us to react, but they don't want us to react about the safety in our communities. They don't want us to react about stopping the crime. And, just the other day, did you see that shootout on the Chicago streets? Like, what's happening? And so we've got all of this stuff, and we're doing all of this stuff, right, to say that, we're supporting this, and we're supporting this community, and we're supporting that community. We're doing all this stuff to say that we're doing that. But are we really? Are we really out here protecting our kids? Are we really out here doing what we supposed to do? We're not doing all we can, and that's my position. We're not doing all we can. So today on the group, we've been talking about how, remember when Joe Biden decided that he was going to say, you ain't black if you ain't voting for me? Remember that? That was a post-traumatic slave syndrome, okay? That sent us through the roof. Just like the meme during Black History Month, all we want is respect. That's all we're looking for. But why we can't get it? RESEBCT. Doesn't matter how I spelled it, right? It matters if we're getting it. Okay, so Aretha Franklin told us that's all we want is a little respect. What do you want? What do you think that we need? And how much of it do we need? That's the important part. Okay, so remember, that sparked backlash. And then Charlemagne, he didn't let Biden off easy. And I was starting to get proud of Charlemagne at that point. He pushed back, making it clear. It doesn't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. So I asked you again, what do you want for your community? So now, listen, let me break this down to you and why I don't believe what I just saw, right? So Trump, we know he shared the meme as Obama says apes. Unacceptable. 100,000% unacceptable. Okay. But is there somebody in Trump's camp that's undermining him? Because it's Black History Month. He just put out invitations. He sent invitations to people, and the invitations for the Black History Month celebration, which is next week. Okay. He sent those out. And then after he sent those out, he puts a meme of something. He puts a video out, and the video was an auto video, and then the Obama thing followed. So he's saying, "Oh, it wasn't me." Now they know that Trump is hard-headed enough not to apologize. So who is setting this up? He's not going to use it against himself because he too needs to win the midterms. So he's not going to just disrespect Black people. But what he did say, I'm the most non-racist president we've had in a long time. Now, what do you think about that? Do you think he's the most non-racist president that he has had in a long time? I don't know. Okay. I'm not sure. But what I know, Mike Tyson jumped out. Mike Tyson says, well, no, this is a real dude. Now, I think Trump is a real dude. Now, I think that he's got some feelings about Black folks in him. If you want to call that racist, then call it racist. I'm not fighting that. Okay. I just, when it comes to racism, I think that there's so much in America that we can't put it on one person. That if we're going to put it on everybody, then let's put it on everybody. Then this is a racist America. Then you have Tim Scott, Mr. Racism doesn't happen in America. Remember that part? Tim Scott said, no, racism is not happening in America. Well, he says, well, this was the most racist thing that you could have done. So where are we at with that, Tim? So now Trump had a conversation with Tim Scott, right? He had a conversation with him and he said, listen, they got on the phone. He said, oh yeah, Tim, he really understood. Now, what I didn't see was Tim come back and say, I really understood. Now, I'm glad Tim, what we call G-checked him. Okay? Tim G-checked him because Tim said, this is not okay. Because Black people over time have been depicted as monkeys and apes. So when you put a meme up that says that, it says that we are going to feel that way. Okay? So we really have to really sit back and think about everything that's going on. Who did the video in the first place? Now, Reverend Al Sharpton, shout out to Reverend Al on this one. Reverend said, well, listen, remember you threw Omarosa on her head? When she walked her out the White House, why are we not seeing the same level of outrage for the person who shared the meme, just like you threw Omarosa on their head? Now, I think that there was some behind the scenes because people were mad at Tim Scott for saying that this is the most racist thing I've seen, because they said you are ruining our chances at the White House. Not the fact of the person who made the meme, but the fact of the person who said that you are ruining our chances in the White House. Now, for the 2026 midterms, I want to be clear that everything going forward, people, is about this midterm election. It's about trying to make the people sway away from this Republican regime. Now, again, I've said here on Millennium News, I think absolute power is power corrupt. Okay? I think they may have too much power. Like Kanye said, one man can't have all of that power. Okay? Now, he does have all that power. Now, what is he doing with it? Now, I see a lot of people saying, yo, the money is flowing, the money is flowing. Then I hear a lot of people in my hood that saying, listen, this is hard. It's hard out here for a pimp, trying to get this money for the rent, right? I hear all kinds of people saying all kinds of things. But how is your money? How is your money moving? How is your money talking, okay, to you. You know, when we go, I think when we go into the supermarket now, they said beef is up 26%. Now, people, I think that it's time for you to say no more meat in your diet because it's killing us. Okay, let's look after COVID. 7 million people died. 7 million. Now, when we first looked at it, it was only 1 million people. Now we're looking at 7 million people, and people that took that vaccine and people that got the COVID are still having these long COVID problems. So what does that mean? This means it's population control, people, that they're trying to control the population, that people don't want to pay so much money. So instead of paying a lot of money, they're deciding to kill people off. Now, let's not forget about Bill Gates and the Epstein files and what we're hearing about him. So we got all this stuff going on, all this stuff swirling around, and we have, may or may not have, let me say that, we have or may not have post-traumatic slave syndrome. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm saying it as we have to know why and what we're reacting to, how we're reacting, what we're getting angry at, and what we're letting them. Yes, the other day, people was calling me on the phone. Ashley, I hope you have a good time at the White House, and I hope you survive after that. CL, well, this is it. I'm not talking to any Republicans, including you. I got friends who have known me for 20 plus years. I'm going to say because of my political affiliation, because I choose. Now, remember, in this country, we didn't always have the right to be Republican or Democrat or anything in between. We didn't even have the right to vote. So then we only had the right to be Republicans. Democrats didn't want us to start off. But now they say, oh, well, you know, we switched and, you know, the Dixiecrats became Dixie, whatever. I get to choose. I am a citizen. I get to choose in the United States what I want to be. You got everybody yelling at Nikki. Nikki went up to the President Trump. Nikki went up to President Trump and she says, oh, well, President Trump, you are my favorite man of all times. And they did a video and, you know, they was doing the video. So now they have something called the Nicki Minaj syndrome where people are saying they want to be Republicans because Nicki Minaj made it cool. Now, wait a minute. I started this. What do you say? I started this a long time ago saying that hip hop was going to change politics. We are doing just that. We are doing just that. Okay. And so now we have to focus on what is going on from here. So now we say hip hop is jumping out. Hip hop is a part of everything that's going on around us. Hip hop is the next generation of politics. There you got Uncle Luke jumping out. He's saying that he's going to run for Congress. You got we already have Do It All. We already have Rhyme Fast who jumped out. You already have Scarface that jumped out. This is something that we put out into the stratosphere. Okay? So now it's happening. The Nicki Minaj syndrome. Quote unquote, the Nicki Minaj syndrome. Yeah, okay, people. But where do we go from here? Where Cardi B, you know, you seen her at the Super Bowl. So she went from, I told y'all that Trump wasn't going to be it. And she trying to jump ahead and they're trying to use this as a woman thing. We cannot do this. Okay. So again, we have to recognize what post-traumatic slave syndrome is. I don't want to see us getting excited every time that somebody jumps up and says something racist about us in a racist country. Everybody's trying to play the fiddle, but why can't we get the things that we need done in our communities then? So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with our last 15 minutes here on Millennium News 24, and we are going to focus on where we go from here. We'll be right back.
Hello viewers, you are watching Millennium News 24. America and global villages seen America independence built by immigrants, manufacturers, roads, highways, educations, healthcare, IT, scientists, space business development to all thousands of multimedia and all major social media platforms and news network in America. Millennium News 24, one of truthfully news networks in America and global news organizations. Please watch, follow and subscribe. We are in iOS and Android devices, Roku, Amazon, Apple devices, all smart TV, globally Horizon satellite, social media Millennium News 24, Millennium TV 24. Website www.millenniumnews24.com and www.millenniumtv24.com. Thank you.
We can get with. And so we are back here on Millennium. We are back here on Millennium News 24, and we are back on Millennium News 24 here on, and we're talking about what is happening in the United States. What is happening going across the United States? Do we have post-traumatic slave syndrome or not? Do we have it or not? Okay, so what do you think? Do you think that you have it or what? Do you think you have it? Do you think that this is something that we need to talk about? So now, how did you feel about Trump saying that I'm not apologizing, I didn't do anything wrong? Now, we have a president that may have a couple issues when it comes to stuff, but what are we doing going forward? Okay, so we've got people saying they don't like to celebrate Black History Month because Black History Month is not for them. I don't think Black History Month is for everybody. I think that Black Americans have done so much across the United States that we deserve a whole month, because it could take a whole month just to tell you about all the activities and all the things that we put in place here in America. Okay, so I don't know where or how that is, people don't like that and people don't respect that. You have everything that was going on in Israel. So we hear all these things, but when it comes to Black Americans, when it comes to Black people and everything we've done, and any other race that has come into America is on the backs of Black Americans. So how could you disrespect that? Right? The fight that the civil rights fights that Black Americans have had, we have fought across this land, and now everybody benefits from that. That's why we need to celebrate Black American history, because we have done so much, we have been through so much. And so now people are saying, oh no, do away with it. People are tired of it because they're hearing the same old every time. So what do you want to hear? Next month is Women's History Month. Are we going to say, no, women haven't done enough in this country to get a Women's History Month? Are we going to say that? Is that where we're going to focus? Is that where our piece is going to lie? Is that what's happening right here in America? How is that working? Okay. So now I just want to focus on what happened at the Super Bowl. So did you watch the Super Bowl yesterday? What did you think? Okay. So remember, Jay-Z was at the Super Bowl. Okay. Now, last week they said that Jay-Z was at the Super Bowl, and Jay-Z had left the country because he was scared of getting arrested. Well, this week he was participating in all of the Super Bowl stuff. Okay. And then remember, he put Bad Bunny on there. So while they're rounding up all the immigrants, largely Hispanic, right? Jay-Z says, oh, well, we're going to have a Super Bowl with a Hispanic Super Bowl. Okay. And it went over great. If you ask most people, the theme was Puerto Rican pride, Latino unity, resilience, love, and message. So I think it included Lady Gaga, Ricky Martin, Cardi B, and the Seahawks actually beat the Patriots 29-13. So Jay-Z was out there with Blue Ivy and Rumi, okay, after he's been mentioned in the Epstein files and that last dump tied to the FBI intake allegation. Mentioned it's not proof and there was no charges established by his name appearing, but he was in it. And then we've seen him a lot with Weinstein, who is locked up. We've seen him a lot in those papers. We've seen him a lot there. So now to understand what is going on, we just have to wait, because I don't understand, and we talked about it, me and a couple friends, we talked about, I don't understand why they released the Epstein files if you're not going to put anybody in jail as a result of that, right? Because now we've got all this information. So now we know somebody did something. They even said, did you hear this part? They even said that Epstein said that Biden had died in 2019, and the person that we were seeing was an actor, Biden. Now, he does look different now. It could be old age and everything like that. He did look very different. He was acting very strange. Okay, but to say that for Epstein to know that he was dead and all that kind of stuff, you guys got to do something about this information. Now, you just put this information out here for what? For pure distraction. And again, that's why I'm focused on what we do next, where we go from here. Because if stuff like that is happening, right, and stuff like that is going out the way and all of this and all of that, if stuff like that is doing, if stuff like that is happening, you got Governor Wes Moore. He's saying that he was uninvited from the governor's dinner. Now, why? Now, Trump, again, there's 24 Democratic governors and 26 Republican. And so now I'm only hearing about Wes Moore and one other not being invited to the dinner or being uninvited. I'm not sure. But I guess Trump was supposed to have, it's usually a bipartisan dinner, and I guess he was supposed to have everybody there. And so now, again, the only Black governor you don't invite during Black History Month, it just plays into what's going on. And that's why I think that Trump is internally being undermined, because he doesn't make all these decisions. Let's be clear about that. He does not make these decisions. Okay. But what we're focused on is that, again, that post-traumatic slave syndrome. Oh, he didn't invite Wes to the thing. Now, I'm not saying that he should. I think that he should have been the first person to get the invite and the red carpet, because it's Black History Month. And congratulations to you, Wes, for being the only Black governor in the United States. That is Black history. And I think that we're getting away from what that means across the board, what that means across all cultures and everything, what that means to us, to them, to you. Okay. What does it mean? And so now, Wes, he's been uninvited, and there was another white gentleman, obviously, because there's only one Black one that was uninvited, but I'm not sure if everybody else was invited and they were the only two that weren't. And so let's get that right, because again, they're using it for the midterm elections. Now, the Democrats, they severely need to win in the midterms now, because they can't vote for anything. They can't get anything done. They're talking about Kristi Noem, we're going to impeach her if she doesn't step down. Now, we haven't heard much after that, after the shooting of Alex Preddy and the other young lady. We haven't heard what was going on there. So in that same light, what is happening to us, right? So we haven't heard about that. We haven't even heard when they put them to rest. Was there a funeral? What part did we play? What part was this and what part was that? What is happening and what is going on? And so again, when we talk about resetting America, we talk about resetting where we are, where we come from, and how we fit in this picture, we have to play a better game. If you're going to watch TV for your news, then you got to watch everything. You got to watch CNN. You got to watch MSNBC. You got to watch Millennium News. You got to watch Fox. You got to watch Newsmax. You got to watch everybody. You got to watch the Young Turks, because you got to hear what everybody is saying. You got to watch the New American Perspective. You got to watch everything going across the board. Okay, because you can't sit there and take one person's side of it, because again, this is the New American Perspective, and we're hoping to have the perspectives across America, across the board. Okay, we're definitely looking for that going forward. We've got to focus on what we need. What do you need in your life? The Black community makes about a medium income of $36,000 a year, where the white communities make over 100,000, Asian communities make over 150,000. And where do we play? We've been here too long in America to play the bottom of the barrel. Anybody just coming in, I'm talking to you too. And you got, everybody is playing their position, but we're waiting for somebody to do something for us. What is it that we're waiting for? What is it that you're waiting for? Now, Black women have the highest education in the country. They're the most educated individuals in the country. But now what jobs are they in? They say that Black women under Trump lost all their jobs, because not so much because of Trump, because there is white supremacy going on, and people feel some type of way about this stuff. And people are using it to their advantage, and they are cutting people of color out across the board. It's a fact. But what do we do about this? We've never laid down, and we're not going to lay down now. So we have to create our own form of money and economics, and we have to work together in collective economics. You got young Glorilla's sister. She's out here saying that Glorilla is not giving her mom or anybody any money, in their family. Now, does she owe them nothing? Probably not. She has 10 brothers and sisters. Is she obligated to take care of her 10 brothers and sisters? No. Maybe she didn't get along. Maybe they didn't believe in her. Whatever. But as a community, we have to, the only way that we can grow is we can't look, well, you go out here and you get your own money over here. No, when I get some, I'm going to put you in position to make some more. And that's what we don't do in our community that other communities do. That's not the love that we have in our community, because we're all going through something. And again, this all falls in line for where I just started, the post-traumatic slave syndrome. Are you affected by it? Or do you have a form of PTSD, which is PTSS? And let's be real about this, people, because I think that you can definitely, you can definitely fall somewhere in lines and in this. And I think that you need to focus. Now, while we're here on the group, we get to talk about it to the next level, because we are on the group here on Millennium News 24. And I will see you on Wednesday with the G-Check. Hopefully, A.B. Butler will be joining us, but I'll see you Wednesday at 1 o'clock with your next thought. But I want to hear your thoughts, your feelings. I want to hear everything that you're thinking about too, because again, they get to excite us when they want to excite us. But we need to be able to excite ourselves, and we need to be excited when we need to be excited, not when they tell us to be excited. Yeah, jump up. The punks jump up to get beat down every time. And I'm not saying turn a blind eye to what you see. I am saying don't let what they want to happen, throw all this stuff in here because the Black people, they're using that. Oh, why aren't they, saying that about Asians? Oh, they sure don't say that about Jewish people, because they know that them Jewish people will be about their business 100% of the time, 100%. So that's my show for today, ladies and gentlemen. I'll check you on Wednesday here on Millennium News 24. Have a great day. Signing out on the group.